is calling for the dismissal of the cocoa bot CEO who is now being accused of mismanaging the cocoa sector.
So clearly, something is amiss at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We are seeing the production coming down, declining to the lowest in the last 15 years. So everything has gone bad at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We're also seeing...
We get you the very latest from Dadia Soba, where the minority has been engaging cocoa farmers. My name is Blessed Suga, and Top Story, as always, is brought to you by Vodafone. Further together. Tonight, the minority in Parliament descending heavily on government and the CEO of CocoaBot, Joseph Anim-Addo, and asking him to resign from office for running down CocoaBot and shortchanging farmers. Government announced a significant increase in the price of cocoa by more than 60%, but the minority say that isn't enough. Minority Leader Dr. Kesela Tuforsen, who has been leading the National Democratic Congress's MPs to engage cocoa farmers in Dadia-Soba in the Ahafo region, says the price of a bag of cocoa should have gone up to 2,500 Ghana cedis at least. So why is he making the demand, and why are they equally demanding for the resignation of the CocoaBot CEO? Joining us on the telephone lines now is parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who's joining us with the very latest from this engagement in the Ahafo region. Kweku, if you can hear me, a lot of issues unfolding from this press briefing by the minority when, of course, they engaged cocoa farmers. Let's start off with a concern by the minority leader, first of all, on the issue of pricing. 2,500 cedis at least is the expectation of the NDC minority MPs. Why are they making this claim?
Yes, Blessed. In fact, they make the argument that if you add premium, that should have been able to go up by at least 2,800 Ghana cedis. They insist that if you look at the exchange rate fluctuation in the country, that should inure to the benefit of the farmer, and also the record increase of cocoa price on the international market. We can listen to Dr. Kesela Tuforsen making that demand forcefully that farmers should have gotten at least 2,500 cedis.
Following the recent announcement of the Producer Price Review Committee that they have increased the cocoa price, the farm gate price per bag from 800 to 1,360. And we have come to a firm conclusion that the government of the day hasn't been fair to the cocoa farmers. For a simple reason that clearly we know that there are two major determinants of the price of a cocoa. So a bag of cocoa is determined by two factors. The first is the price in the world market. The second is the exchange rate. Nothing more, nothing less. You also agree with me that any time that a currency depreciates, the person who exports gains and the person who imports loses. So the bottom line is that the only sector that will gain will be the export sector. And we know that the cocoa farmer is the main exporter in this country. So in times like this, the person who should benefit is the cocoa farmer.
And that's the reason for which Kesela Tuforsen is going ahead, Kweku, to make new claims now. In fact, this is the third, of course, member of government or a government appointee that the minority seem to be having issues with. Why are they asking or calling for the head of the CocoaBot CEO?
Right. So, in fact, CocoaBot as an institution have been making losses since 2017, and the Cocoa Board have blamed that mainly on the price fluctuations and how much they have to give farmers. But tonight, the minority have been insisting that the Cocoa Board has been mismanaged by Joseph Anim-Addo. Farmers are continuously being shortchanged. He's using the money to give bonuses to workers of Cocoa Board, and that they believe that in totality, he is not competent enough to run the affairs of Cocoa Board and must either step aside or be sacked.
So clearly, something is amiss at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We are seeing the production coming down, declining to the lowest in the last 15 years. So everything has gone bad at the Ghana Cocoa Board. We're also seeing them recording massive losses since 2017. Last year, according to their own audit report, they declared a loss of 2.4 billion Ghana cedis 1 year. 1 year. And the question is, what's going on? Clearly, I don't think that Boa Hinedu deserves to be in office. He has mismanaged the cocoa sector massively. He's been reckless, mismanaged, shortchanged the cocoa farmer, and in the end, he has brought productivity down. So I don't see why he should be in office. He should rather resign instead of him insulting President Mahama. Our position is that the price must be 2005.
Okay, so this debate over the pricing, and in fact, as we speak, the governing New Patriotic Party is also holding a separate news conference on this matter with Richard Akyangba clapping back, if we could use that word, against the NDC and its lawmakers, claiming that the prices started to drop even when they were in power. Listen to just an excerpt of what's happening right now at the headquarters of the party.
950, yet we paid farmers the same rate that the NDC paid them.
And that's, of course, what's happening now, simply because the debate is unending. So what's the figure or the data telling us? Isaac Kofi is a data analyst with the Joy News Desk, joining us now with the latest when it comes to the figures. Isaac, let's start off from the era of the NDC. What data do we have?
Right, Blazer. So I'm looking at the figures from 2012 to the 2023-2024 farming season. And if I should look at the data this way, if you look at the trend analysis, in fact, the current 63.5% increment in the price of cocoa per bag is the highest in the period under review, per the data that we have comparing the prices over the period. So let's start with 2012-2013 season, when President Mahama, that was his first term, actually cocoa prices per bag was increased by 3.4%.
Okay.
The next window, there was no increment, it was zero. 2014-2015, that was when President Mahama actually had the highest increment in cocoa price per bag. That was 62.7%. Then in 2015-2016, it went up by 21.7%. 2016-2017, that was when President Akufo-Addo came to power, started from 13.1% in 2016-2017. But the prices were kept constant between 2017 and 2019. There was no change in the price per bag. Then 2020-2021, I think that was when the first increments came after that long period.
Okay, so let's be brief about this. A significant rise even when John Dramani Mahama was in power. Then there was a slump before the NPP administration took over.
Absolutely.
They've kept the prices at that level ever since and are doing a marginal or a significant increase based on where you stand on this matter. What's the percentage now?
So percentage terms, if you're looking at what the President Akufo-Addo government is increasing, this is about 63.5%. This is up from the 21.2% increment in the 2022-2023 window. Now we also did some sort of average analysis. So right from 2013-2014, when President Mahama was actually in power, if you look at from 2012 to 2016, cocoa prices were increased on average 22%. 2016 to 2020, that's the Akufo-Addo era, that was 5.4%. That was his first term. Then his second term, 2020 to 2024, if we add this 63.5 projected increase, we are looking at 28.2% within this period.
And in fact, a lot is unfolding tonight. Let's first of all deal with this aspect about the pricing, and then we get into the politics of it, the demand from the governing, from the opposition National Democratic Congress, and what it is that the New Patriotic Party has been saying. Isaac Kofi is still with us just to, of course, fact check some of the figures that, of course, the Cocoa Board will put out tonight. Joining us now in this whole conversation is Fifi Boafo, who is head of PR at Cocoa Board. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Top Story. First of all, your initial reaction to this whole debate that has started. What, in your view, may have necessitated what we're seeing today?
Well, for me, I consider cocoa as a very important commodity in terms of the body politics of our country. The people who rely on the cocoa industry, the farmers alone, are almost 800,000. They have dependents who average 5. So that put together, you are talking about 4 million people who are directly within the cocoa industry. Of course, there are other people within the value chain who rely on the cocoa industry. So anything that has to do with cocoa farmers has a lot of effect in terms of the politics of our country. So in terms of things like price, it plays a key role in the politics of our country. So for a government, if you increase a producer price by 63.5, that's significant, and government believes that it will have a lot of impact on voters. For a opposition political party, if government is able to increase the income of about 4 million people within the country, of course there are others who are also part of the value chain, then there's something significant that has happened. And clearly, if you're a political animal, you will not sit unconcerned. You will need to at least water down the effect of such a change in the lives of the people.
And I see the word you're using here, watered down. But of course, the figures are also coming up. You've looked at it. The NDC argues that we left it off at a higher margin in terms of when they were leaving government. You have come, the figures have gone down, and you're just increasing marginally. That's their argument on this one.
That is inaccurate. It is inaccurate because the idea that, well, when the new government took over, there's not been any increase until this one. That is not true because, for example, in the year 2019-2020, the price was increased by 8.4%. In the year 2020-2021, it was increased by 28.2%. Indeed, last year, the price was increased by 21.2%, and this year it has been increased by 63.5%. I'm sure you can check
that tallies with what you have.
The same data that we have here.
Okay, precisely. Yeah. So that's out of the way.
Yes, so it is inaccurate for anybody to suggest that this is the first time government is increasing the price. On top of that, I think the minority argument, and I've even heard a former president say same, it is based on an inaccurate position. And Dr. Forson actually proceeded further to even conclude that based on that, farmers ought to be paid 2,500 Ghana cedis a bag. And this is the reason or the basis of that argument. According to the minority, they believe that at a particular point in time, spot price of cocoa was 3,600, and we should use 3,600 as a basis of determining how much cocoa farmers should be paid. Dr. Forson has worked at Cocoa Board as a board member in the past. He understands very well that if you go to the trading room at Cocoa Marketing Company, you do not do spots and use it as a basis of determining price. Indeed, the traders, within 12 to 15 months, they spend that period in selling the crop. So the price you get, you actually have to average what you've been able to achieve within the period of sale. So sales dates back as October last year up to June, where the Producer Price Review Committee sat to take this decision. So if you pick a figure from the internet to say that, well, in August, the price was 3,600 and use it as a basis to determine a price. Clearly, you are not being fair to the fact. But on top of that, even the 3,600 they talk about, that it's CIF, that is cost, insurance, and freight. But they use the cost, insurance, and freight figure to determine the price without being mindful of the fact that the other cost component do not come to Cocoa Board, and then they do go to the shippers and they do go to the insurance company. On top of that, apart from the fact that you've sold from October last year to say June this year, and the figure you get is not the spot price you have today, it is also important to note that not every cocoa you sell gives you what the international price is offering you, because there are You have main crop beans and you have light crop beans, you have type 4 and others.
Right.
The main crop beans will give you what you see on the internet, but the other crop you have, it's actually discounted between 20 to 40%, and he's not taking that into
obviously
consideration.
Make these points because even from our checks, the data is on your side. 28%, correct, Isaac, as against 22% in all. That's for President Akufo-Addo's record and that of John Dramani Mahama. But Fifi, it is instructive to note that the reason for which you're even increasing the prices may not necessarily be because you care so much for the farmers, as is being argued. The feeling is that you're responding simply to the market trends. Smuggling going up as never before. If the cocoa sector was well managed, why would that have been, the prior reason for which government will consider a price adjustment? You're not handling matters well, is that criticism?
I have heard the argument about smuggling, but it is important we cast our minds back from what the situation has been from 2017
yes.
up to date. From 2017 up to last year, there has never been an issue of smuggling in our country. And the reason is simple. Between 2017 to 2022, Ghana has paid better price than our neighboring countries. So if you say that within a period of 7 years, in one particular year, your neighbors pay better price than you do, for that reason, it amounts to insensitiveness. Clearly, then you are not being fair to facts, because in a period of 7 years, 6 continuous years, Ghana has paid a better price if you compare to Cote d'Ivoire. And this year, you have a situation where Cote d'Ivoire paid better price, and you say that yes, because in that particular year, we are not proud of the fact.
But you admit that fact.
I am making a point. I'm making a point to the effect that in 1 year out of 7, when you are outpaid, it is incompetence or inefficiency on your part. What happened to the 6 years when you paid better?
And what's happening now, I guess?
What is happening now, the price that has been announced is higher than what is being sold in Cote d'Ivoire. We are yet to have the price from Cote d'Ivoire. But I could share this with you because I sit in a privileged position where I sit in some meetings, even though I've not been given the permission to say that on air. What I know is that there have been some conversation between us and our neighboring countries to have a fair idea of what the market will offer in Cote d'Ivoire. We are not there yet. So we are unable to say that, well, they will increase the S by X or Y. It can only be based on assumption. But the truth is that between 2017 to 2022, Ghana paid better price than what Cote d'Ivoire was paying.
Okay, so this is just a one-off, as you're.
It is just one-off.
In fact, the NDC is also joining the conversation. Sami Jemfi is with us. Lawyer Sami Jemfi, thanks for your time here on Top Story. You've been listening to Fifi Wafo break down the issues. We'll get to the next leg of it, where you're subsequently making some claims as well. And we'll get to Sami Jemfi for you shortly, trying to understand what their position is on this matter. But there's an intervention also coming through from Isaac Ofieje, the part about this being a one-off. From the trend we have, is it looking as though, of course, this is just the one-off as government is putting up?
Well, let me rehash this. So I said between 2012 and 2016, the average change in price of cocoa was 22%. Between 2016 and 2020, the average was 5.4%. So if you compare President Akufo-Addo's probably his first term to President John Dramani Mahama's first term, President John Dramani Mahama's first term was relatively higher than that of President Akufo-Addo.
His first term?
His first term.
Okay.
But if you look at between 2020 and 2024, that is if you include the projected 63.5% increment, then you are looking at 28.2% for President Akufo-Addo in his second term. So this is what the data says, and this is how the trend is looking at Blessed.
I see. Let's deal with the new demand coming through from the minority now. The claim. And you've worked with Dr. Vine, so you're in a position to know the gentleman we're talking about. The claim that he's not managed Cocoa Board well, and he needs to go home.
Well, this is just a way of getting back at him. It is to be expected because the chief executive yesterday issued a statement seeking to correct what the former president had put out. And he indeed made a point that the information that was put out by the former president is clearly based on the fact that the people who briefed him gave him wrong information. And the people, obviously, who briefed the former president for him to make that mistake are the people talking. So it is a way of diluting matters and just wash what they have done. Because you went to the former president to tell the former president to issue a statement to the effect that 3,600 should have been the basis for determining the price of cocoa. When you knew
and is that far-fetched even in the first
it
place?
is a very wrong assumption because cocoa was sold between October last year to June this year, and that is the practice. It is the practice. So if you are making any claim to the effect that it should have been 3,600, then you do not understand how the industry operates.
Aside the price, the issues of indebtedness.
I'll make the point.
Right.
So these persons who went to the former president to tell His Excellency that, Mr. President, put it out there that they should have used 3,600 as the basis. And now you have the chief executive coming to correct what the former president has put out there. Probably, and he's human, he will feel embarrassed that these people have misled him. The people who misled him as a way of getting back at the person who has come out to put us information is to say that, after all, you are incompetent. Step aside. It is just a way of trying to correct the misinformation they provided our former president.
But deal with the indebtedness for me.
With the indebtedness. So let me tell you the genesis of the problem Cocoa Board has had in terms of these losses they talked about. In 2017, when the new chief executive took over, Cocoa Board had done the syndication, draw down 1.8 billion. By December 28, all the amount of money had been spent. The entire amount had been spent. So when the new management took over, with approval from the board, had to go to the Bank of Ghana to seek cocoa bills in order to be able to run. Cocoa Board that year bought cocoa to the tune of 940,000 metric tons. The money that was procured for the purpose was 1.8 billion. By December, Cocoa Board had bought over about 540,000 metric tons. The remaining quantities of cocoa that was bought, there was no cedi in terms of fertilizers and chemicals that had been procured. There was no resources left for the chief executive and his management to pay for it. So Cocoa Board had to go to the Bank of Ghana to seek for cocoa bills in order to be able to pay for these costs. So these costs, together, of course, the fact that when we're talking about the prices compared to what the other countries were doing, cocoa prices in 2016 was about 2,900 average. By 2017, cocoa prices had come down to 2,060. I'm sure when you were playing Ahiyagbe's statement, he made mention of the fact that government had to find a way of
so that's
sustaining that price.
That's
so
you came
that is when you had to go in for Bank of Ghana to seek for funds to do this purpose. So it is not a case where you take money, misapply it, but in a way of maintaining the industry.
Let's bring in lawyer Sammy Jemfi. And counsel, I hope that you've been listening to the argument of Fifi Buafo. The point that things were already barred when the NPP had come through. Now they've stabilized. They are increasing steadily. That's the argument.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Did I hear you say that Fifi Buafo says that things were bad at Cocoa Board when they took office and that they are turning things around?
You heard him, sir.
Well, that comment is a very, very shameful comment because it is an attempt by the very people who have mismanaged and collapsed Cocoa Board to justify their cracks, mismanagement, recklessness, and incompetence. This is the first time in the history of Cocoa Board that they have recorded losses for 7 consecutive years. In 2017, they recorded a loss of 395 million cedis. They recorded a loss of 78.2 million cedis in 2018, a loss of 320.6 million in 2019, 426 million cedis in 2020, and in 2021, a staggering loss of a whopping 2.4 billion.
Sammy, where are you getting these figures from?
These figures are contained in the Auditor General's report. So if you check the Auditor General's report for 2018, you will see the loss they made in 2017, which is 395 million, and vice versa. So you can check that for yourself. And they cannot deny that. So these people who have collapsed Cocoa Board, such that for the first time in the history of Cocoa Board, they've made losses for 7 consecutive years, they've defaulted on their debt obligations, and have had to introduce a debt restructuring program. They've not been able to even repay 8 billion cedis of cocoa bills they issued. These are the people who today have the audacity and the temerity to be granting interviews when they should be signing their resignation letters.
Is going home the solution?
Simple. The international FOB price of cocoa today, averagely, is $3,600. That was the average for the month of August. That for the month of July was not significantly different. That for the month of September has not been significantly different. Averagely, the price is hovering around $3,600. In fact, on some markets, the spot price has gone up to as high as $3,800.
But Sammy, when you bring up that figure, you're being challenged on that by Fifi, who's right here before us. He says you're picking the figures from the internet.
But where should we pick the figures from? Is cocoa sold in the bedroom? Can I address the issue? Cocoa is sold on the
Sammy, if you don't mind, I wish to make some clarification so probably you understand these issues. It is very misleading for anyone to say that the mere fact that in August you see a particular price that should form the basis of determining an FOB price demonstrates someone who has clear lack of understanding of the industry.
Sammy, he's just making the point. Yes, I mean, I can hear you. He's just making the point.
Time to make his point, and you came to me.
I get that. He's just coming through. Sammy, just hold on. He's just coming through with reasons why he's disputing your figures.
I am saying that the cocoa season for every year starts on the 1st of October of that year and ends on the 31st of September of the subsequent year. And I'm saying that we've not even gotten to 1st October yet. Yet the international market price has surged to a 46-year record high of over $3,600. As we speak, the price has hit about $3,800. And we are saying that if you look at the average after the 31st of August, they did this opening, okay, which is the first time the cocoa season is being opening in September. They did it on the 8th of September. If you check the time they opened the season, the average price was 3,600. And the interbank rate was 11 Ghana cedis. If you convert that into cedis, you get 39,708 per ton. If you divide that by 16 to get the price, the international FOB price by bag, you get 2,418, almost 2,500. Why are you giving the poor cocoa farmer only 52.7% of this price, and you are retaining a whopping 47%? Why are you giving the cocoa farmer 1,300 when the cocoa farmer should be getting more? If you factor in premium of $497, which they have gotten this year, the cocoa farmer should not be getting anything less than 2,500. So what they have done, like President Mahama has said, is a total rip-off. And this is what they have been at since they took office, taking cocoa farmers for granted and lying through their teeth on top of that. And when they retain all those monies at their head office, they mismanage it, they abuse it with recklessness, and incur huge losses. And on top of that, they pay themselves bonuses for incurring consecutive losses. And today they have the temerity to be granted interviews.
Okay, Sami Jemfi, I'm grateful for your time. This conversation is just starting. I mean, just a minute for you, Fifi, as we wrap up.
I do not think that by employing abusive language is a way of addressing a sensitive national topic like we are doing. Sami Jemfi talked about premium. I have heard persons, including Honorable Eric Opoku, who say that this year, premium of 490 something was paid. You ask them, where did that information come from? It doesn't exist anywhere. It is only a figment of somebody's imagination. But on top of that, it is not surprising that these persons went to the former president and mislead him, because they say that August average should be the basis of determining cocoa price, forgetting that the cocoa season actually spans for a period of 12 years. I have already made you understand.
We need to go.
Sure. Yes. I've already made you understand that sales starts 12 months before the season begins. What they do not realize is that to determine the price, if you say that you are using just the price for the month, what happens 2 months into the season, 4 months into the season, if he claims that you're only supposed to use the month where you open the price average to determine the price, it's clearly people who have absolutely no idea of how cocoa prices are determined.
And this conversation is just starting. There's more on PM Express as Fifi Boafo, who speaks for Cocoa Board, will be on that platform together with the others to dissect the matters. And we'll also be checking the figures for you right here at Joy News. And that's it for Top Story. Next is Newsnight.
Live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. This is Newsnight. In the next 60 minutes.
I don't want to speak now.
Ghanaians are willing to hear from you.
The truth will come out.
The truth?
Yes.
From COP and Expenser?
Yes.
All right.
The truth will come out.
That's the key witness in IGP leak tape. COP Alex Mensah insisting that no matter how long, the truth will rise. Just a day after the IGP described allegations leveled against him by his accusers as wild and baseless. There's more as Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating the leak tape reviews. Chief Daniel Bugri-Nabu is the one who furnished the committee with a full recording of his conversation with the other witnesses.
The source of the tape now is for the same Chief Bugri-Nabu.
But at the end of it all, what exactly will happen?
And it should guide him and help him.
Are you hopeful that whatever will come out of this committee, your recommendations, will really be acted upon by the president?
I think the president has the nation's best interest at heart. And if there are matters in the service which has serious implications for the health of the security of the state, I know that as a serious president, he should be able to deal with those matters.
We have details of that. Also tonight, we focus on the ongoing limited registration exercise as it emerges that some parents and first-time voters in Pru East in the Bono East region are unable to raise up to 100 Ghana cedis for transport to participate in the exercise.
Where we are, people need to cross the river. Anybody will spend about 150 Ghana cedis to get here. When they get here, the network was terrible. They couldn't get registered.
You want to stay with us for details and also hear from Kodeo as they make another case for EC to reconsider their decision and create more registration centers that are closer to the first-time voters.
District offices are quite a distance. Designate some center in a particular district closer to the people, so that they will not necessarily have to travel all the way.
We'll get to check on day 2 of this particular exercise in business.
Now, new figures from the Ghana Statistical Service show the Greater Accra region recorded the lowest year-on-year inflation of 31.8% for August 2023, while Northeast region saw the highest inflation in the same period.
And in sports, Christian says performance of local players and Black Stars friendly against Liberia could pave way for more in the senior national team.
And much later, we'll get to hear the story of Dorothy Asare, who is part of a small number of Ghanaian police women, inspiring the women of Somalia with your roles in male-dominated fields.
I don't have any challenge because what a man can do, a woman can also do. So I do it boldly.
We have that and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Please do all to join us with your thoughts and your comments. It's via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. We are live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook, myjoyonline.com. Feel free. Leave your comments on any of these platforms. We'll do well to pick them up. I am Emefa Apau, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Reason why you ought to stay for details. Many thanks for your company. We're digging now, and tonight we'll start off from Parliament's ad hoc committee. Well, you may have missed out on it. I missed out too because it was an in-camera hearing. But after that and before that, my colleague Samuel Imbura got to interact with most of the key witnesses. After it, their reactions amongst others, which we'll be delving into. But COP Alex Mensah, the key witness in all this, has also been talking to my colleague Samuel Imbura. Says that no matter how long it takes, the truth will definitely rise. And this is just 24 hours after the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, appeared before the committee and dismissing all the allegations leveled against him, describing them in some cases as wild, in other cases as baseless. Well, we can listen to bits of it if you missed it.
Those wild allegations without a shred of evidence has brought a lot of pain to myself, my family across the country, and especially my wife and children. With all these allegations, in order to cover up probably the shame associated with what they got themselves involved in the first place. And I, an innocent person, focusing on my job, working in concert with my team and all commands across the country to keep the country safe and make it to be at peace for itself. I've been asked to come and answer to these allegations, which are wild, baseless. And I felt in my spirit that this is just not fair. It is just not fair.
That's the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare. However, COP Alex Mensah has expressed confidence that the truth will emerge once he submits his evidence. He spoke to my colleague Samuel Imbura following a closed-door hearing of a case earlier today.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't want to make any comment on this issue. At appropriate time, I will speak on it. But for now, I tell you, I'm sorry.
We are done today?
Yeah, we've done. We've closed. Yes, we've closed.
The IGP didn't come?
Yes, he didn't.
The National Security Minister did appear before the committee.
Because I've told you that I don't want to speak on it.
Have you presented your evidence?
No.
Why? They didn't.
It has not been started yet.
They've not even started?
No.
So who did they deal with?
I've told you I don't want to make any comment on this issue. And I will
not
make any comment on this issue.
You're strong.
That's it.
We know that you are.
Yes, I will not make any comment on this issue.
So whatever you say.
I will insist on it that I will not make comment on this issue. So you can get these answers from the Parliamentary Select Committee.
But yes. Are you happy with the process so far?
Very, very happy.
You are happy with the process?
Very.
Do you think you have been given a fair hearing?
Very, very fair.
So we should be expecting.
Very fair. Very fair.
Very fair.
Very fair.
We should be expecting solid evidence.
Yes, yes. Very
Is
fair.
your evidence ready?
Everything is ready.
Everything is ready?
Yes. I'm not ready to comment on anything. I only tell you everything is ready. And that's it. Okay. The process is everything is going on well.
Okay.
Everything is going on well.
So when are we expecting you?
It's on the 2nd of October. Yeah.
2nd of October, you should be coming.
Yeah.
What's your message to Ghanaians?
I don't want to speak now.
Ghanaians are willing to hear from you.
The truth will come out.
The truth?
Yes.
From COP Alex Mensah?
Yes.
Right.
The truth will come out.
And that's Samuel Imbura's interaction with COP Alexander George Mensah right after that in-camera hearing. And we've dragged Samuel Imbura into the studios after that in-camera hearing. Joins me right here. So that's your interaction. I could see that you were following him walking,
exactly.
After the in-camera hearing, really. But today, let's talk about the demeanor, at least, of the key witnesses. The IGP did not come. What reasons were given?
Well, we're told that it's a high-level security meeting, National Security Council meeting. So the IGP was engaged in that equally important meeting. However, he was represented by his lawyers, led by Kwame Jan.
However, in spite of that meeting, the National Security Minister was before the committee today. But before we get into details of that, you had an earlier engagement with Daniel Bugri-Nabor about the tape. Did he open up?
Well, Daniel Bugri-Nabor, who is the chief witness in this whole brouhaha, said he wouldn't want to talk about it because he was appearing before a committee and it will go against the rules of the committee to engage the media whilst he's supposed to answer questions by the committee.
In a committee, if I talk here, it means that it's against the rules of the law.
But how do you feel feel about the whole situation so far?
Oh, why?
You've heard the commentary so far.
No, I haven't heard yet.
No, I'm talking about reactions from people out there. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it now.
Are you sad about how the issue is developing?
My friend, forget about. Continue asking me because I'm not ready to speak.
So this was your earlier engagement. Well, let's listen to your earlier engagement also with COP Alex Mensah before the first one we played. That was before the hearing. Listen.
COP, good morning. This is Samuel, Joy News. Can you talk to us briefly what you make of the process so far? Do you have something to say?
No.
You heard from your boss, Dr. Dampari, but your body language communicated otherwise, like you didn't agree with him. Is that the case? When he was giving his testimony?
Don't worry.
You wouldn't comment.
You talk later.
Are we expecting a showdown in this in-camera hearing?
I'm not going to
But let me hear from you, Superintendent.
It appears that he was rather in a high spirits. George Asari also did not speak to you. But let's get into the details. I know it was an in-camera hearing, but what really have you been able to pick up?
Well, so the National Security Minister came. I was actually positioned at one of the elevators so that I can capture him whilst he arrived. But I don't know how he managed to get to the 10th floor to appear before the committee.
He's the National Security
Yeah, so
Minister.
I think they did some surveillance before his arrival. So he arrived, went and had about an hour interaction with the committee. And we do know that the reason he is appearing before the committee has to do with the fact that one of the witnesses, Emmanuel Eric JB Superintendent, appeared before the National Investigations Bureau before the committee was tasked by the Speaker to investigate the matter. And because he appeared before him, it was only fair, according to the chairman of the committee, to also hear from the National Security Ministry what they have been able to gather. So the National Security Minister only shared a paper that he has, a statement that he has on this whole investigation, but he didn't want to tender that in evidence, reasons being that it has national security consequences. Let's listen to Atachia.
The first person we called upon was the Minister for National Security, Honorable Khan Dapa. And the reason why we called him is that Superintendent Asari had confessed that he appeared before the National Investigation Bureau. So we will not do a shoddy job by not calling the minister who has superintendence over that bureau, the NIB. So he came to say indeed and in fact, NIB called Superintendent Asari and the rest of them in relation to the same leak tape, and they've done a lot of work on it. It's an interim report, but he will not share it with us, because if you care to know, it's a national security document. It's not declassified, and in terms of law and the constitution, there's no way we share it with that. In the first instance, the Minister for National Security did not tender any document. He only tendered his statement, what he said to the committee. So he made a written statement to the committee. And then we said he should tender the statement he made to the committee.
Well, so that's the communication on why the National Security Minister came. Now, the committee also revealed the originator or who actually presented this particular second tape, because we're told they have a longer tape of the secret recording. Did he tell you who?
You know, previously, the chairman hesitated from telling the media who gave them that tape, saying that it will scare other witnesses, and because of the Whistleblowers Act and the protection given to whistleblowers, he wouldn't have revealed it. But today I asked him that direct question, whether he could share with us who gave them the second tape and how authentic that tape could be for the committee. And then he revealed that same Bugri Nabu who produced or confessed to the first tape is the same person who has produced that longer version. It's over an hour that he has given to the committee, and then they have actually listened to it and given portions and transcripts to all parties involved.
The second point is that when we return, it is going to be an in-camera hearing, because all the witnesses will congregate with their lawyers, and then they are supposed to give us the evidential support in relation to what they said openly and publicly. And please bear in mind that we are not trying to shut out the press, because, as has been rightly said, there are national security implications in relating to the interrogation. And we need to exercise that discretion as to what is good for public consumption and what's not. But eventually, a report will be placed before Parliament, which will be a matter of public knowledge. And then Parliament will debate it, and then resolutions will be made on the basis of the report. Well, the source of the tape now is from the same Chief Bugri Nabu.
The second thing is coming from Chief Bugri Nabu.
Yes.
So that's the confirmation there. Chief Bugri Nabu has now given the committee the full tape. But what happens next after today?
So the sitting has been adjourned to October 2.
Why?
Because it needs ample time to scrutinize the evidence before them. So they'll start from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 5 consecutive days to be
public hearing.
Yeah, no, this is going to be in camera. Okay. They have a specified or specific date they are supposed to present the report before Parliament. But what Mr. Atachia is saying is that if they are not able to meet the timelines, they will go back to the Speaker and request for more days to continue the probe.
Okay, thank you very much, Samuel Mbura there, giving us all that we need to know and all that we missed at the committee's hearing. But to what end? At the end of it all, what is expected to happen? The chairman of the committee, Samuel Atachia, speaks to the issue on last Sunday edition of The Probe when I hosted him.
But the committee is not an appointing authority. Let me stress this and stress this critically. We're not supposed to even, to overhaul the entire police service.
But you are supposed to make recommendations for reforms where necessary.
Oh, we will do serious. When we glean meaning from the evidence, the recommendations will come. And guess what? Recommendations are supposed to be recommendations. And the recommendations are not going to be the basis to sort of remote control the president as to how you work on the police service. The recommendations should inform the president as to some of the issues that were raked out of the committee's work, and it should guide him and help him.
Are you hopeful that whatever will come out of this committee, your recommendations, will really be acted upon by the president?
I think the president has the nation's best interest at heart, and if there are matters in the service, and guess what? The Ghana Police Service, which has serious implications for the health of the security of the state. I know that as a serious president, he should be able to deal with those matters.
That's Samuel Atachia on The Probe last Sunday. And this is Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. We're on a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, wherever you're listening to us from. You can send us your messages on what you've heard so far, all the way from top story on the Cocoa debate. My colleague James Aveji is at the NPP headquarters where they've been holding a press conference. We'll be going to him shortly. My colleague Kweku Asante is also in Ahafo with the minority as they engaged or had a deba with the cocoa farmers and people of the area. My colleague Blessed Sugan has been interacting with the Cocoa Board as well, and that longer conversation will be on PM Express later tonight with Aisha Ibrahim. But let's take a quick break here on Newsnight. We'll return with more stories. Please stay.
Ever visited a shop, picked a whole basket of provisions, toiletries, and very essential things you need, battled a long queue to finally pay, only to be told you can't pay to a merchant number the way that thing they pay, but with Vodafone Cash, there is no problem. Now on Vodafone Cash, you can pay all merchants on all networks. Easy peasy. Aye straight. Aye direct. Aye sharp. From your Vodafone Cash wallet to any merchant number on other networks. So whether you are buying provisions or fuel, medication or food, whatever the service or need, just pay conveniently from Vodafone Cash to any merchant number. Simply dial *110# to make payment to merchants on other networks today.
Vodafone.
Ghana, are you ready? Game Park Limited, the newest lottery company in Ghana, introduces another exciting game called Pick 1 from Friday 15th of September 2023. Choose your favorite number from 1 to 36. Stake and get ready for the excitement as we unveil the lucky number. Prepare yourself to unleash even more moolah by staking from 1 Ghana cedi to 350 Ghana cedis and win 26 times your stake on the amazing Pick 1 game. Play by dialing *946# on all networks via our website or download the Game Park app on www.gameparkgames.com. Watch our live draws on Adom TV at 9 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m. daily. Game Park, more moolah, more power. This game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, not for persons under 18 years. Play responsibly.
cash out just got way better. Our enhanced early, partial, and auto cash out feature lets you cash out your bet out early. Cash out a portion of your ongoing bets, or even set your bets to cash out automatically. All this to give you way more control over every thrilling bet you place. Sign up today at betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Betway. Get way more.
Thanks for staying with us here on Newsnight. Now let's focus on election-related matters. We'll be talking about the ongoing limited registration exercise. But first, let's make a stop at the NPP headquarters. And the Elections Committee has, in the last few hours, concluded the second round of balloting for the 4 remaining aspirants who are fighting to lead the NPP into the 2024 elections. The 4 includes Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong, former Agric Minister Dr. Efriye Akoto, and Adenimo. My colleague James Saveji has been on the beat all day. He joins us on the line. So I know that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is number 2, Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong number 1. Tell us about the placement of Dr. Efriye Akoto and Adenimo. Hello, James. Can you hear me, James? Okay, my colleague James Aveji will give us details, but let's hear from the election committee on the ballot.
And by way of the placement, the tossing of the paper, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong takes number 1. The Vice President takes number 2. Honorable Dr. Akoto takes number 3. And Honorable Adenimo takes number 4. That is the final placement by way of the ballot, and this is how it's going to be on the ballot paper for the election. Ballot number 1, Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. Number 2, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Number 3, Honorable Dr. Efriye Akoto. And number 4, Honorable Adai.
So that's Professor Michael Quay there. And James has also been trying to read some of the aspirants. We'll get reactions from some of the camps shortly. But beside the balloting, the committee has also been providing updates.
We are generally agreed that there will be nothing like camping of persons so that people will come freely and vote freely. And we don't say one thing here and then on the ground the same something else is happening. And we are going to meet the police together with the EC officials so that everybody sings for the same hymn book on that day. No officials, regional party people, etc. can have any influence on that day. You go to your own constituency and vote, and then you are done. You will not have accreditation to enter any other area. In fact, we are streamlining and tightening the rules in such a way that at the end of the day, the NPP will win, not any particular person.
Well, so that's the chairman of the elections committee of the NPP. So balloting done. Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong, number 1. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, number 2. Dr. Efriye Akoto, number 3. Adenimo, number 4. That's the placement on the ballot paper for November 4. Dr. Prince Amuzu speaks for Dr. Efriye Akoto, joins us on the line for a quick reaction to this placement. What does it mean to you?
Thank you. Dr. Efriye Akoto takes delight in the number 3 that is picked today for his placement on the ballot but for the grace of God, he wouldn't even be in the first 5. You are very much aware how many people, including pollsters, did not even expect him to make it to the first 5. And the things that happened to the 6th August, to the extent that people didn't even believe anyone could have gotten any number other than 0, than the ones that they were mooting for. And therefore, to have number 3, which stands for Trinity, and to have a 3 Godheads, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, it just tells us that the grace abounds for us. And in November 4th, better things are going to happen to the work that we have started long ago.
That's exactly the number you were looking forward to, or you are now gleaning meanings and putting all kinds of twists to it?
It's not in our power to look forward to. If you look at the way Dr. Efriye Akoto's campaign has worked, we are receptive to what God wants us to do. We believe that leadership is bestowed on humans by God. And when you are sincere and honest, truthful, and decisive, and you take a decision to provide service, it's up to God to honor you with the blessings of the votes of people, so that you are able to serve them the way God has placed on your heart to do so.
But has campaign started for the team?
We've been campaigning since, and we kept telling you the constituency that is going to vote on the 4th November, that is the exact people that are the biggest beneficiary of the singular most important policy that worked under Dr. Usofri Akoto, the planting for food and jobs. Many of them are farmers. And if you recall, they are the very people that have been trooping in to encourage Dr. Usofri Akoto to come on board and bring about the innovative leadership that is needed at Animwaa to bring agriculture to the limelight so that we can increase productivity in that sector, feed the factories with raw materials, and encourage service to also blossom.
Okay. Dr. Prince Amuzu, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much. And that's Dr. Prince Amuzu speaks for Dr. Ifi Akoto, who is a former Agric Minister. Yusuf Akbar is a campaign aide to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight. We know that the Vice President has been campaigning in the Volta region, from Oti region, amongst others. Number 2, really, is there any significance for the team?
Oh, yes. It means that a second round of victory on November 4. We secured the first round victory on August 26th. And since then, we have intensified our campaign for yet another victory on November 4. So, 2 makes it easier for us to, communicate our message to the electorate ahead of November 4.
Well, we've been hearing the Trinity, and if there's a Trinity, are you hoping that 2 will triumph over Trinity?
Well, it's evident that 2 will triumph at the end of the day. And we have consistently made the point that the decision on August 26th is a reflection of the sentiments within the New Patriotic Party. And we are convinced that the outcome on November 4 will not be any big different from August 26th. And so we're very, very confident about that.
So it appears that the team is quite happy about the number 2 that you picked.
We are excited.
Okay.
And we believe that at the end of the day, it is the hard work of the candidate who will deliver victory and not necessarily your position on the ballot. And our candidate has been the most hardworking in the race so far. And we believe that it will manifest on November 4 in the outcome.
Okay. Akbar, thank you so much for joining us. That's Yusuf Akbar, campaign to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Let me bring in George Obingentry. He's campaign spokesperson for Dr. Adainimo, Mr. Adainimo, I should say. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight. George, number 4 for Adainimo. Is that what you were looking forward to?
Oh, well, it's just a number. The most important thing is...
George, please, if you could reduce the volume of your radio set out, I appreciate that.
Oh, okay, right. Thank you. Yeah, the most important thing is for delegates to be able to identify the name and face of Honorable Adainimo. Once that is done, we are just okay with it.
So for you, numbers mean nothing?
Oh, it means nothing. It means nothing. Yeah, the most important thing, like I said, is for delegates, to be able to identify the person they want to vote for.
But number 4 also could mean that it means that that's how you place in November 4.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Where will you place?
Sorry, come again?
I'm asking where you will be placed after November 4.
For sure. Number 1.
Number 1, eh?
Because the party has to retain power, and all that we've been saying is that the party needs a new face. The party needs a new face, and Honorable Adainimo is a new face that the party needs.
Okay, but the Super Delegates Congress, if the placement was anything to go by...
Sorry, my dear, I cannot hear. It's quite faint. If you can speak louder a bit.
Is it better now? Can you hear me? I'm saying that if the placement, if we should go according to the placement from what we did for Super Delegates, you are hopeful that that will change. Indeed, you'll be number 1.
Yes, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, we are in the race to win. Honorable is in the race to win. You want to see the party retain power.
Okay.
So that is what he is out to.
Well, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us. George Obing-Entry, campaign spokesperson for Animwaa, and we've been taking a quick look at that balloting that was done earlier today by the party. Kennedy Ohinie Japon is at number 1. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, number 2. We've been hearing from his team, and they say that it's a second victory for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We've also been hearing from Dr. Owusu Akoto's team. He is at number 3, and they are also happy about their placement. Trinity, they say. George Obing-Entry speaks for Animwaa. You've just been hearing him. Says, as for them, numbers mean nothing. But some parents who live in villages along the Volta Lake in the Pru East constituency of the Bono East region are unwilling to offer travel support for the awards. To register in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise, it costs at least 100 cedis to make a trip on the lake to the district capital for the registration exercise. Nanaya Ojima engaged some worried residents of affected areas. Here's his report.
At least 50 of the 99 polling stations in the Pru East constituency are scattered along the Volta Lake. Traveling to the district capital, Yeji, is a perilous journey, mostly done in engine-powered fishing boats. At least 15 lives have been lost to boat accidents in the rainy season alone. Aside from the risk, the cost involved in making the journey will discourage many from traveling to the registration center. Some guardians express unwillingness to sponsor their wards to undertake the exercise. From Domiabra to the capital is over 40 miles. On market days, it costs 100 cedis to travel to the capital and back. It costs more on ordinary days. If an applicant travels here, how is he going to feed himself? The risk involved is also huge. The National Democratic Congress has expressed dissatisfaction about the AC's conduct of the exercise. NDC parliamentary candidate for Pru East, Emmanuel Kwakubuam, is frustrated.
They know Pru East to be one of the constituencies which is solidly for the NDC. And since 92, we have never lost that seat to the MPP. And these are some of the exercises they are doing to suppress our votes. Because they know they cannot take the seat from us. So automatically, what should they do? They should do something that will amount to voter suppression within the constituency. That the EC is doing something that is not lawful.
The NDC is, however, pooling resources to help subsidize the cost of travel for applicants. Mr. Buam says the party is working hard to maintain its electoral fortunes.
For the overbanks, when it is 3 o'clock and they are still within town, it is not safe for them because the weather changes beyond 3 o'clock because clouds are forming, it is too airy and it may affect their voyage, So we believe that if we're able to bring them on time and finish within time, still, you can imagine, more than 200,000, because fuel alone, for the exercise within 3 weeks, fuel alone, we are not getting premise fuel.
Calls for the Electoral Commission to decentralize the exercise are yet to yield results. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
My colleagues in the other regions are also on standby. We'll get to interact with them. Also hear from Codeo on this. They are still urging the EC to designate centres closer to where residents live, so they will be encouraged to participate. We'll hear more on that. But it's time for business.
Yeah.
Beverly Program.
Thanks so much for having me. Well, welcome to the business news on Newsnight, brought to you by MTN, Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntex Tank, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal. Coming up tonight, new figures from the Ghana Statistical Service show the Greater Accra region recorded the lowest year-on-year inflation of 31.8% for August 2023, while Northeast region saw the highest inflation in the same period. And World Trade Organization lauded Ghana's e-commerce initiatives, saying it could drive the next phase of the trade agenda on the continent. We have details after this break.
Imagine strutting into the most anticipated wedding of the year. only to see 7 other girls wearing your exact same outfit.
You are special and one of a kind, and that's why whether it's voice, data or SMS, you get to enjoy personalized offers tailored to your specific needs with MTN just for you. Dial *141# or select your options on the My MTN app to redeem your unique just for you package on Ghana's best mobile network. MTN.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited's Back to School promotion is here with us once again. From the 4th of September to the 31st of October 2023, Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is giving a generous 10% to 15% discount on all school items like textbooks, pens, pencils, erasers, exercise books, and so much more across all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Takoradi, Winneba, and Cape Coast. Parents, teachers, and students, please hurry while stock lasts. For more information, call us on 0302 764 101 or 0302 764 209 or email info@kingdomgh.com. You can also visit our website www.kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books, where quality and affordability are both assured. Terms and conditions apply.
No matter your water needs, Sintex has it all. Sintex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Sintex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Sintex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Sintex Tank. Sintex Tank, stress-free. Sintex Tank, reliable. Sintex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Sintex Tank, a strong, a tough.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Media Sambisanda Moa. It's your Ratiano. Mumu, I panic me fit no bodom pe mo man yakono. Eh, kwabna. No mumu wants me to be just mali me marry na there. Eh, kojo. And crew. Corporate me ri nam bodom pe mo sense o you accident eba. Ah, ye dey ban do braye. Go see ti na mo ban na sem mana hoode ne. Sa, ani na kuju nso you accident chako. Na no ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bejo mama na feel you. Eh, kojo. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Avenia, you're gonna natural.
FDIJ Jadian Katuyatu.
Well, I'm Beverly Broom. Let's do business now. New figures from the Ghana Statistical Service have shown that the Greater Accra region recorded the lowest year-on-year inflation of 31.8% for August 2023, below the national inflation of 40.1% for the same period. Now, this was followed by the Central region, which recorded an inflation of 37.5%. The following report has more.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the Northeast region recorded the highest inflation of 60.1%, far above the national inflation rate. This makes the region the most expensive place to live in now in Ghana. This is followed by the Northern region with inflation of 46.8% and Volta region with 42.6%. The Western region, Upper East, Upper West, Bono East, Western North, Savannah, Eastern, Oti, Ahafo, and Ashanti regions came in that order. The Greater Accra region recorded the lowest inflation, followed by the Central region.
Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnai-Nim has stated that it is too early to conclude that the current rains and harvest season contributed to the slowdown in the August inflation to 40.1% from the 43.1% recorded in July this year.
So issues around the harvest, issues around expectations, they are mere personal opinions, they are mere expectations, and Ghana Statistical Service, as you all know, we are happy to share in that conversation, but wouldn't treat that conversation as official statistics. So yes, we are seeing rains. Yes, we are seeing harvest happening. Possibly that is what is accounting for the slowdown that we are seeing in food inflation. But because we don't have numbers to that, we cannot specifically say the extent to which that is contributing to the slowdown.
You heard the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kopena-Enim. Now, the World Trade Organization has indicated that it is looking at the option of allowing other African countries to learn from Ghana with regards to e-commerce. It follows the significant growth that Ghana has recorded in the space over the years. Deputy Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ambassador Jian Shanshin, who disclosed this to Joy Business in Geneva, Switzerland, said Ghana's case is interesting.
We're not surprised because we know that the Ghana introduced a very business favorable policies, and you have very good young professionals in this regard. So this is good. But we would like to find out the specific rationale for the economic development of Ghana, because someone argue that without WTO, without rulemaking process multilaterally, Ghana can still develop quickly. But why we need WTO? That's not what we are thinking about. We would like to see the WTO can make a contribution to the further quick development of Ghana.
So do you think that other countries can also learn from us in terms of how we've done so much?
Yeah.
What platform are we going to provide?
You heard the Deputy Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ambassador Jian Shanshin, speaking to George Riafe in Geneva, Switzerland. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries is making a strong case for more venture capital funding to support small and medium enterprises. This, they say, will ensure sustainability and aid in the creation of jobs across all sectors of the economy. According to Chief Executive Officer Seth Chuma Kwabwa, government should provide more support to existing equity fund companies. He was speaking at a venture capital SME roundtable forum.
I think there are different sources of funding, but the main traditional funding for businesses is the banking sector or financial institutions that are providing short-term funding. In Ghana, you hardly get access to medium to long-term funding. So people on their own try to plow back whatever profit and grow organically. And that growth is very slow. And that's why we don't have big businesses doing big ticket business. So we need alternative funding that is more reliable, that could give capital in a bigger way. And that is what has been lacking in the system. I know that venture capital has been with us for some time and they are doing well now, but we've also known that over the years the level of capitalization was not that strong, because if all this were financed only up to about 70 businesses.
Seth Chuma Kwabwa is the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries. President of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Patrick Ebo-Bonfol, is asking government agencies to help the association to identify and secure litigation-free lands to deliver on its mandate. According to him, land litigation issues are impeding the association's delivery, hence the support of state agencies for land administration and registration is needed to facilitate the greatest mandate of providing affordable housing.
Yes, I think that on our own, we really want a situation where these issues of land litigation and so on and so forth can be reduced as much as possible. This is where we seek collaboration from stakeholders like the government agencies to help us to secure lands that are litigation-free as much as possible, so that we can deliver on our agenda of helping house the people of Ghana.
You heard the president of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, Patrick Ebo-Bonfol, ending business news on Newsnight, brought to you by MTN, Kingdom Books and Stationery, Syntex Tank, and Pepsodent Charcoal and Herbal. MFA.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll catch you as usual on the Joy News channel. Now, we'll go back to the issues about the Electoral Commission, but of course, let me do some of your messages also that you've sent in. And Joe in Nakbanduri says, I'm so sorry sorry to say that it is statistically wrong to average Mahama's 4-year price of a bag of cocoa to that of President Nana-Addo's 8 years. The best should have been Nana-Addo's first term against JM's one term. Joe Nakpanduri, thank you. Abochi Philip from Keta says, today the EC network and the machine did a good job in the Keta constituency. The EC officials have registered maximum number today, but the distance is far for the applicants. And this one also says this MPP government hate to be criticized, but they've forgotten about the time they were in opposition and they've been criticizing the then Mahama government. Okay, and this one also says, what is the COP saying? We are thinking about their plot to remove the IGP. Are they the ones who appointed the IGP? That is, if he had even done anything wrong. Okay, George from Ashoman also says, why has Jean Mensah and the commissioners developed a confrontational attitude? That's your question, Senna Hateka from Agonu Poplote. He says the allegations IGP's colleagues raised against him is totally false, so he should continue his good work. And this one from Nitojo from Tema, Newtown. IGP saga, integrity is key. Ghana first. Lincoln in Akwitiman says the leak tape about the IGP and Bugri Nabu and others has exposed this government and the police service on their conduct towards elections in the country. Okay, and whoever becomes the presidential candidate for the NPP will be beaten hands down by the JDM. With what the NPP together with the EC are doing to Ghanaians who wants to register for a new voter ID, we shall not forgive them. That's Jonathan Dokenu from Akachi. I have a final one from Nana Ekuya Blake Kuma Central. He says it's quite interesting that the NDC, who did very little to better the lives of our cocoa farmers, suddenly have their voice louder, trying to water down the success story of the government by increasing the cocoa price by a whopping 63.5%. So some of your messages that you sent in via WhatsApp on 055-1111-997. Well, we'll go back to the story about the EC, and most of you have also been commenting on the situation. Before we went on the break, we touched on the Bono East situation, where it's becoming difficult for parents to fund for transportation for their children or their young ones to actually go and participate in the exercise, because it's costing at least 100 cedis to make a trip on the lake to the district capital. We hear from Kodeo, but my colleague Ivy Setoji joins us from the Volta region to give us a picture of the situation there. Ivy, you've been monitoring the situation. What can you report?
Okay, so the issue was with the network, basically. The EC, especially when you go to Keta, they had issues with network, so they couldn't use the network at a point. So they resulted into going manual to work to register the people. According to some of them, it was a little bit okay, but also comes with some challenges. We also had issues with people complain about the distance, especially when you go to places like Naoshime, Mamime, some areas in the Keta municipality, for example, people have to take a car, spend about 100 cedis for over just to register. So that has been another issue. That was an issue people were complaining about, that if it is possible for the EC to also get some centers in those areas, especially those far from the main registration center, so that people go there and register. Okay. And so, yes, basically the issue was with the network. And also in Ho, for example, some people, some young or minor, few of them were cited there, went to the office to register, to the center to register, but they were sent away because they are not up to 18 years somewhere.
Well, so that's Ivy. Let's listen to her interaction.
I'm a student of Keta Anglo State School. I came here this morning around 7 to 8, but this is almost 11 o'clock now, and my colleagues are still in school, but I'm still here facing some challenges. I think that the machines that they are using to work over here, the machines are not too much like that, so I think that the government should provide another machine for the workers to use, so that we can do whatever we are supposed to do over here and live here to our school campus quickly.
When we asked them, some of them said that they have registered 2014. So we consulted the EC personnel here, and they realized that no, they have done another registration that was done in 2020.
Okay, so that's the situation in the Volta region. Let's go to Damongo in the Savannah region, where leadership of the NDC and the NPP have expressed mixed reactions about the exercise at the West Gonja Municipal Office of the Electoral Commission. So while the NPP's agent Babong Adam endorses the process, his counterpart, who is the West Gonja Election Committee chairman of the NDC, Mahama Al-Hassan, thinks otherwise.
The EC, we expected to have the start of day printout, which they said they couldn't do. So there was back and forth with it until we were able to sort it out, and the exercise began. But all in all, the two parties all understand themselves that it's not about who registers today, it's about what you are able to, you're able to sell to the voters after they have registered. So you can bring someone to register today. What if the person is not convinced enough after he has registered? So the parties do understand. So as you have come here, it's difficult for you to be able to identify between who is NDC agent and NPP agent. We know ourselves already. We are people within the community who already are with each other. So it's difficult for you to see us through ways at each other. We understand the drill already.
Well, Isaac Nonya, what else did you monitor today?
Yes, MFR, the process as stated by the agent over there was very smooth today. In particular, you saw a good number of the youth, mostly young ladies, young girls who were in the queue. And yesterday, a good number of them, about 20-25, were seen. Queue was not found. But today, we have a very long queues, about 3-4, with some of the people gathered. There was police visibility. And a young man who came all the way from the Nursery Training College to register got there and fell ill. And the politicians, they took advantage by intervening and taking him back to his destination and to bring him back to Motor Register. Okay. When we listened to the EC, they took time, the officials, to sensitize those who were coming for the first time, mostly students. They engaged them and to find out where they were coming from, their identity cards, and then whether they had somebody to guide them or not. So they also got people who actually knew those who came without voter ID, the Ghana cards, to assist them by guarantee for them to register. All in all, we saw a good number of politicians, mainly from the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, surveying the environment despite the presence of their agents there too.
And that's Isaac Nonyade reporting from the Savannah region. And Nana Boachi Anim-Addo brings us update from the Ashanti region. What can you report, Nana?
So, MFR, today being day 2, the process was very smooth and peaceful at the EC headquarters here in the Ashanti region. The EC headquarters initially housing about 5 constituencies, Bantama, Akopa, Inshares, and some 2 other constituencies combined. And the process has been smooth. The only challenge is that the new National Democratic Congress and say the process is being slow. Since yesterday up to today, they've been able to register just 28 people, and that's the challenge from the National Democratic Congress. But aside that, we spoke to Mr. Bosman, who is the EC officer here. We spoke to him earlier, and he says the process for him has been a good one. They face no challenge, just that it has been slow as the NDC alleges.
That's Nana Boachi Anim-Addo. We can hear from the national coordinator of CODEO.
The concern of CODEO is this fact that the district offices are quite a distance, most of the registrants, that is the applicants. For example, if you take all the capitals, Kumasi, Takoradi, Accra, even here, Accra, you find that people have to take structures. Some may take 2-3 before they get to the final destination to do the registration. If it's not even necessary to do it at the electoral area level, the EC can designate some centers in a particular district, closer to the people, so that they will not necessarily have to travel all the way to the district offices.
That's Albert Tahin there. It's time for sports. Musbao.
Hello, MFR. Well, the 2 players from the Ghana Premier League side, Midiama, made their debut for the Black Stars in the team's 3-1 win over Liberia at the Crossport Stadium yesterday. Now, despite them receiving late call-up, left back Abdul Fattah Hamidu played the entire duration of the game, while striker Jonathan Soa, who came on as a substitute and provided the assist for Ghana's third goal, scored by Jordan Ayew. Well, head coach of the side, Chris Seaton, was left impressed with the players' performance and believes that the performance might pave way for more players from the local league to feature for the national team.
Injuries can give others an opportunity, and we, of course, had an opportunity for both players from Midian, and I think both done well, and particularly Jonathan coming on in that last minute and giving the team a real lift, I think, in that period, particularly when the game opens up. But really pleased for Hamid as well to make his debut. So I think that's probably, for them too, I think that's great encouragement. It's great encouragement for more of our local players to want to aspire to.
In there, MFA, just before I let you, before I leave, the Ghana Premier League is expected to start on Sunday. It's expected to start. However, we understand that Ashanti Gold have filed an injunction against the start of the Ghana Premier League. So at the moment, the start of this season's Ghana Premier League is in limbo. The case is yet to be heard. In fact, a date is yet to be set for the case to be heard. So we'll wait to see if indeed the Ghana Premier League will start as arranged by the Ghana Football Association. So that's the latest news coming in. The start of the Ghana Premier League is in limbo at the moment. Well, that's it for sports, brought to you by President Herbal and Chaco.
Thank you very much, Musbao. Now, let's focus on the climate. And Ghana has in recent times experienced devastating impacts of floods, especially in major cities of the country. And according to the Met Agency, there's more distribution of rainfall in the next 2 weeks. Editor Kofi Edudomfe has climate focus today.
The rains have come down heavy in the past months. In most instances, floods causing havoc, properties and lives have been lost. The rains could be worse in the weeks ahead, according to the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
We should be worried because the issues that we get are not just limited to the amount of rainfall that we get. So we should be worried and then be cautious as we enter the minor rainfall season.
Building resilience is still far from reach. The few natural support systems are under attack by the powerful and affluent in society. Environmental analyst Eugene Oseitutu says this should not continue if Ghana is to adapt efficiently to climate change.
They must ensure that people are not building in waterways, people are not, creating community centers, artificial pitches and all these things that you see in our communities on waterways. You must also respect the various zonings that are the Ramsey side, the wetlands and all that, which are being developed to all sorts of things. The various district assemblies must ensure that these areas are protected because they serve as a carbon sink of a sort and also as a reservoir to, absorb excess rain when this time of the season kicks in.
Well, that's our climate focus. And just before we head out, I'll take you to Somalia, where my colleague Maxo Agbagba has been interacting with Corporal Dorothy Asari. And she's defying all odds. And she was a Metro Mass and Transit bus driver in 2011. And 2 years later, she quit her job to join the Ghana Police Service. And now she's driving the police armored vehicle in Somalia. Here's her story.
I said, this is the way we wanted to be. This is the way we wanted to be. Let's go.
It is 10:30. Some of the 158 personnel of the Ghana Formed Police Unit are gathered on the field singing morale-boosting songs before the day's patrols in the town of Badoa here in Somalia. Behind them are armored vehicles they'll be using for the patrols.
Go, go. Obama, Obama, don't cry, don't cry.
Here, I've met one of the women in the team, Corporal Dorothy Asari.
So we came, that's 7 months now. For driving, I don't think I have any challenge because I was a driver before coming to the police. And I've been driving for so many years, so I don't have any challenge because what a man can do, a woman can also do. So I do it boldly.
As we drove through town with the team, the evidence of how conflicts can destroy countries became clearer. I saw highly fortified walls in many neighborhoods used to protect residents against attacks from Al-Shabaab. The checkpoints
were also many. Commander of the Ghana-formed police unit, Superintendent Eric Van Kofi, says, aside from contributing to the peace process, women like Dorothy Asari, through their role, empower the women of Somalia.
We have women who are gunners, women who are tactical communicators who control their movement, and the women drivers here, women drivers who also take part in the operations that we do. It is not only for the men.
But so do people take inspiration in them, especially when we go to town. You see, women want to share their sentiment with them. They want to see women in this position. It mentors the women, and it gives hope. It gives hope to women that are coming.
The personnel here may be far away from home, but feel closer to home. ASP Rejoice Dobe says Joy News helps her to follow and track what is happening back at home.
You know, Joy FM is my favorite station because of the nature of the quality of their news. So every day I just try to listen, even if I am at duty or busy.
I said, this is the way we wanted to be. This is the way we wanted to be. Let's go.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM. You can sense the excitement in my voice because Animwaa Anim-Addo
Hi, MFA.
is here.
Hiya. What's
Strong.
Up?
Sassy.
You too, Charlie.
How are you doing?
Day pon. Oh, Charlie,
I miss
everything
you.
is good. I miss you too. I've been off for the past 2 weeks.
I know.
A very big thank you to Aram for sitting
Did a
in for
fantastic
me.
job.
But tonight we're talking about postpartum depression. I don't think it's something that we talk about enough. We've both had kids.
Yeah.
So
tough.
we know what it's like, you know, those first few weeks, the tiredness, all of that. But there's the baby blues which kind of comes, but there's something that sometimes lasts longer.
Yeah.
A certain inability to feel the joy of the moment, a certain darkness and despair, and we don't talk about it enough. So tonight we want to have a conversation on postpartum depression, you know,
Open
bring
up
some
about
light
it,
to
yeah.
it, and then hopefully there's anyone listening who's going through it,
Definitely.
and just so that they know that they're not alone. So stay tuned in. Strong and Sassy coming up. Thank you very much, MFA.
Thank you.